Are you looking to join Cycling Men of Leisure for one of our rides in 2025? We've got a few things on our schedule.
That's right. We'll be attending Big Bragg and also the Bourbon Country Burn.
Big Bragg is in Georgia and Bourbon Country Burn's in Kentucky. Both places are going to be absolutely beautiful. We're going to have teams for both of those events. If you're looking to join us on our team, just send us a message. We'll tell you what to do.
So come on out. It's going to be a good time.
Absolutely.
Well, it's time for Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure, the podcast for cyclists who understand that riding is not just about getting to the destination, but the experience along the way. Now, here are the original Cycling Men of Leisure, Adam and Michael.
Hey, good to be with you.
Great to be with you, Adam. Happy once again to be here, and we got some great stuff to talk about today, don't we?
We sure do. I'm excited. Of course, there's always a nervousness. We're about to take on a big adventure.
A big adventure, and that is going to be the bike ride across Georgia.
That is right. And for this one, you and I are flying. If anyone heard this show before, we did a spring tune-up. We decided to drive to Rutledge, Georgia. This time, we're flying to Augusta.
And that brings up an interesting point because we are cycling when we get there and we're flying. So that means our bicycles have to fly.
They do. And, some people can pay extra money to have their dog, next to them on the plane. It is still frowned upon to bring your bicycle onto the airplane.
That can't be your comfort item. I need to bring my bicycle so I'm comforted during the flight.
That would be interesting, but no, I've seen, gentlemen bring on guitars and skis and all kinds of stuff, but never a bicycle. So,
Well, if you, Mr. First Class Flyer, can't get it on the plane, I guess we'll have to figure out other ways to make that happen. So that would explain why we might sound a little like we're in cave or echoey, because we are not in our studios at our homes, are we?
No, we are in our respective garages here. As much as Mrs. Lauren is a lovely wife, she kind of frowns upon bringing the bikes and tearing them up in the living room. So,
well, I understand that. And you just got new floors, so you don't want to scrape them up. So
that's true. By the way, you said first class flyer. Good news, bad news. Good news is I got bumped up to first class. The bad news is awesome. You and I, sir, we're going to sit together in the comfort area. So I have to talk to the gate agent to smooth.
The bad news is I got bumped up to first class. The bad news is you didn't. Yes.
Well, listen, I wasn't going to say that, no. Anyways, so what I thought we would do is when you and I started this idea of this podcast, which I'm happy that we're doing, I'm still enjoying it very, very, very much. So, a lot of people were interested when we said we were going to do shows about such as flying with our bike and how we did that. And we seem to get a lot of traction for that.
Yeah, because it's scary. It's scary. And you and I are no exception. When we first talked about last year going to Georgia, we had done a lot of rides, and we had to put in a lot of mileage on vehicles, but Georgia was the furthest we'd ever done. And when we kind of both came to the realization last year on the phone that flying would make the most sense, it was very daunting because it's like, oh gosh, I've got to take this bike apart. I've got to pack it. I got to put it back together. And then in a week's time, I got to do it in reverse. Now, I think we need to start out, however, by letting people know that there are many options on traveling with your bike on the airline.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I think that's a great point. There are companies that make soft-sided cases. Mm-hmm. There are companies that have very large or larger than you would imagine plastic boxes where the entire bicycle, including the handlebars and everything, just seat right down in, and you can travel with it 110% all put together.
The
Many.
airline's really going to love that. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, sure. I don't know if you're going to like the fee when you see that, but
Well,
um,
you can also go down to your local bike shop
yeah,
and they will like sell you a basic, cardboard box that the bike will fit in. I mean,
yep.
they'll basically take it apart, pack it in the box for you, and we'll either give it to you and you can take it with you, or you can have it shipped there.
You can go to UPS, FedEx, and say, "Hey, I've got this bike. This is how much it breaks down." They'll measure the linear footage, and they'll ship it for you. And there are companies out there that do that. I mean, you can actually go to a company, many companies, and ship your bike. Today, we're doing something.
We're not using one of those companies.
No, no. Uh, as much as I love getting bumped up to first class, I still have to, mow my own lawn and all kinds of good stuff. So, but today we're going to be using a Tully Round Trip Sport. If you're interested, go check it out. This is a case that has plastic, plastic top, plastic bottom, hard-sided, and has straps that are adjustable to tighten once we get to that point. Of course, we won't get there yet, but once we get to that point, I'll describe everything. But if you were to imagine or picture essentially a squarish with rounded corners plastic case that the bike frame will fit in 100%. The entire bicycle will fit in with foam. There's some pieces that we'll talk about when we get to that point. Based upon doing research. As you mentioned, last year for Big Brag, we decided we were going to fly, and both of us went in research mode. We were able to find different ways, tips, tricks, YouTube videos, all kinds of things of how to fly, and we're going to touch on some of those.
And the beautiful thing about these and I've got one very similar to yours. It's also made by Tully. The beautiful thing about them is they've got wheels on them.
Oh yes, absolutely, because you can plan as much as you want to plan. You can think about everything you're going to think about. But when that shuttle driver from the hotel or that family member drops you off in front of that airport and you're standing there with your bike box, your jerseys for the week, and another bag or maybe a backpack or something, and trying to carry all of that to the airport, just picture the mayhem commercials. So,
yeah. Well, your parents or your family will actually take you, because mine will say, when I go, "Hey, can you take me to the airport? I got a trip coming up." They'll say, "Is this a cycling trip?" And I'll go, "Oh, yes." And they'll be like, "Oh, we're busy that day," because they know I'll have my big bike box and my huge bag and all this other stuff.
So interesting when you say, "Well, my parents take me." So we've talked many times about our respective homes and where we live. So I always just say like Detroit or Ann Arbor when we talk on this show. I actually live about 45 to 50 minutes from the Detroit Metro Airport. So my flight is at 5:25 in the morning. So this time my parents have said, "We'll take you the night before." So so yes,
love you, but not at 3:00 in the morning.
3:00 in the morning. So I'm actually going the night before, staying in a hotel, and then the shuttle runs every hour. So I'll take the shuttle in the very early morning on Friday. And then once I check in, of course, then I'll meet you in Atlanta, and on the way to Augusta, we'll go.
Awesome. You in first class, me in the back, all the way in the back, but that's cool.
I'll tell the flight attendant, can you go back to my chump friend back there? Give him a Woodford and some snacks, please. So
there's some peanuts at him. Make him happy.
That's right. That's right.
So we are going to basically go through the process of disassembling your bicycle and putting it in the bike box. So I've got my bike box. I've got my bicycle. I've got my registration for whatever ride I'm going to go on. Where do I start?
Believe it or not, for $3.99, I personally believe you start with a paint marker. And
so you're going to repaint your bike?
I'm going to give it a little paint. I am going to give it a little paint. So for essence of putting it back together when you get to the location you're going to, for us this time it's Augusta, what I do is I mark like the seat post, because the seat post, you obviously have your seat exactly where you like it. You've ridden many, many miles on your bike, and you want to put it right back where you found it. And so there's a couple things to think about each point that has to loosen for the bicycle. So I'm going to mark everything with paint where I'm going to loosen, such as the handlebar. I choose to ride with aero bars so I can lay down in the beautiful back country of Georgia for a little bit. And I'm going to mark each area underneath. Some people don't like to do it on top because they're afraid, hey, I don't want to ruin the image of my bike. And so you can actually mark everything very discreetly. So I'm going to do that now.
And let's keep in mind, when you say mark your bike, we're not like taking a can of spray paint or anything like that. These are just, it's a paint pen. You can get it at any hardware store, and you just make a little mark discreetly someplace so that you know where everything fits back together.
That's right. That's right. And so you're honestly better making three, like on the seat post. I'm going to do one in front, one on the left side, and one on the right side here. And because I want to match it up, you're not just trying to put a line, you're trying to get things back right where they were when you get to your location. So I'm going to mark my aero bars here. Okay.
And let me just tell everybody, if you really want to have fun with your cycling buddies, you get to their bike before they have a chance to put it together. You get yourself some acetate, you take off those marks, and then you remark it in a totally different configuration, and that will really confuse them.
I am so glad I booked the hotel reservations on these trips. Okay, so we're going to let that dry. I've marked everything I'm going to loosen up. And to give you an idea what that is, it is the head tube, the stem, handlebars, and aero bars. If you don't ride with aero bars, I guess you could disregard that point. But it helps me get everything back right where I want it. So while that's drying, excuse me, I kind of sort out my tools. I like to use the Park Tool T-handle tools. I like those for flexibility of getting in on an angle if I want to. I like the convenience of the Park Tool T-handle. So done a little research, and I need 5.5 millimeter, and I need the 4 millimeter to take everything apart here. So while that is drying, I also highly recommend on your tire to release all the air pressure. And the reason why we're releasing the air pressure is because you're flying and the bike is going to, get pressurized and depressurized. And so don't want expansion, contraction. So I'm going to release all the air from my tubes before actually flying here. And so I also recommend anytime you're doing a tire change, or hopefully you don't have to do a tire change on the ride, but
So not.
I really hope not. I had to last year, but is always put the bike in little. And so if your bike has 2 chain rings on front, put it down into the little, give yourself more flexibility on the chain, on the back sprockets. I ride a 10-speed. I know that a lot of the Ultegra series are 11-speed, but I've still got a 2013 bike that has a 10-speed, and my trainer has the same cog, and I just don't want to change it. So, but I put it in little. It really helps take everything off. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the tires off and put it into the box.
Oh, excuse me. As he's taking the tires off, and as we're kind of going through the process, one thing I will bring up is you've taken all the air out of your tires. Most people nowadays use the air cartridge to fill up their tires if they have a flat, things like that on the road. Now, the airlines don't let you take those on their planes. So what we've came up with is we actually will go on Amazon or wherever a bike shop site, and we'll actually order a box of those air cartridges and then have them shipped to the hotel that we're going to be at. In fact, I think you said, Adam, that ours made it there today, right?
They did. I checked the tracking. And the reason why I use Amazon is I'm a Prime member, and you can just pick a delivery address. And so you just you find the address to your hotel, and that's what I did. And then the CO care of, I put checking in June 2nd. And so that helps them differentiate, because they get a lot of packages for the people that were at our hotel that we're staying at.
So then that's basically what we do. We get them. We basically just split the cost, and we split the cartridges. We have them for the trip if we need them. Last year we didn't need them, so Adam just went out on the Bragg site and said, "Hey, anybody who's local, here's where we're at. We have a whole box of these cartridges," and someone was happy to come over and take them off of our hands. It's a good investment. I mean, you don't have to use them. You've got them, and I'm willing to pay for a box of cartridges, especially if I don't have to use them. It's even better.
So what I'm doing now is I'm actually taking the skewers out of my hubs. And the reason why is less pinch points for, we've all seen baggage handlers, they treat them like fluffy pillows, their bags and bikes and everything. Oh no, they don't. But so I've taken the skewers out of my rims. So I've got carbon wheels, and so they don't get damaged. Tully doesn't do this, but I choose to. I actually went to my local hardware store. Go wherever you want, Lowe's, Home Depot, or Menards. Go ahead, sing the song. I know you are.
Save more money at Menards.
But and I have a little thin piece of foam that goes on top of my carbon wheels before the protective plastic piece goes in. So give me just 1 second here. I'm putting the wheels in here. And now I'm going to take some foam, and I'm going to put it between the two wheels where the wheels touch. And I'm also going to cover the wheels before I put on the hard plastic protective piece here. Now I've pre-cut these pieces, so this is going to go a little faster. I've already got the foam in, and now I'm going to put the hard piece of plastic in between the wheels and the bottom of the box. Okay, perfect. Okay, so that's pretty simple. Let me come back over here by the mic.
Let me tell you, it didn't sound really simple. You were sounding like you were crashing things around, and
highly recommend Ziploc bags. So all the pieces that we're going to take off, you want to wrap it up. Sometimes you and I, Michael, we've taped it to the bottom of the box, and you just want to make sure you don't get somewhere you don't have the pieces that you need. So I'm going to put these in the Ziploc bag right now. So.
Yeah, I would suggest getting a Ziploc bag when you start, so you can put any of these pieces in as you go, and you don't just set them someplace and go, "Oh, I'll get that later," because then you get out in the middle of wherever and you're looking for a bicycle shop that might have that particular piece because it's setting on your workbench back home.
So I understand this is a podcast, but for visualization, please think of the bottom of the box sitting on the floor of my garage. The two wheels are laying flat. The foam is there and the hard piece of plastic. And then Tully actually gives you a 1-inch piece of real dense foam that then you put on top of the hard plastic, which becomes the bed that when we get there, that the frame of the bicycle will go on. So
awesome. So we got the wheels in the box. They're nice and secure. They're packed in there. What do we do next?
All right. So I just put the foam down. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen my stem cap. And I have a Trek, and it needs a 5.5 millimeter, so that is now loose. And then I'm going to loosen the stem itself, and that for me is a 4 millimeter. So I release that on this side. Let me get this side. Sure, it sounds better when I'm on this side anyway. And now, because I choose to ride with aero bars, I need to take my aero bars off.
See, if you did this right, you would have a bike that had all the same size of screws. Like mine. I'm not going to brag. I'm just saying it would make it easier.
So are you saying that your Italian Stallion has all the same bolts?
It does.
Does it really?
It does, in fact, sir.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
The only thing on my bike that is not the same size are my aero bars.
Gotcha. Well,
Seat post, stem, everything else is same size.
I'm just proud that you put a Bontrager piece of equipment on that beautiful bike of yours.
Well, I guess.
I can't lie. It's always weird when I take these off. So one is off. Let me get the other one off here. I feel pressure for the show.
Yeah, come on, get those off. Now, we are doing this in all reality and honesty. We are doing this as we go, and we decided to do it that way as opposed to just kind of walking through the steps. So, we're not going to have the studio quality sound that we try to achieve, and there might be some extra little dead space, but we thought it would be more authentic and better if we just did it as we go. So that's our little disclaimer.
I appreciate you saying that. I feel the same way as you do. I mean, it is, when you think about it, it is daunting the first time. And honestly, right now, what my brain is thinking is just making sure that I'm putting everything back together where I need it to go. So when we get there, it'll go a smooth transition. I like that we're doing it in real time, because if somebody listens to the show, they will know exactly, besides our little intro and everything we do, they'll know exactly how long it takes me to actually get the bike. So the aero bars are now off. I sure wish they went on that fast. But now I'm going to take my 4mm for me and loosen my handlebars. And so the reason why is the handlebars, if you can visualize, not only have to come off, you can keep all the cables, all of your controls can stay on the handlebar grip stays on. But the handlebars will have to be turned sideways and wrapped around the frame to fit inside of the box. And that's why it's important that we marked it ahead of time.
So basically you're taking the bike, you'll be laying it down, and the handlebars will be turning to the side. So basically you flatten it as narrow as possible.
That's correct. Now, one thing I'd like to mention, in essence of saving the audience a little pressure and time here, is you want to do some research on the correct way to how much to tighten. I'm sorry. You want to make sure you know how hard to tighten the bolts once you get to your destination. On behalf of Adam
and Michael,
we both want to say thank you
for your support.
So I should just stick the thing in there and just tighten it till I feel it's about right?
Well, you could do that. I don't recommend that, because most bikes now are carbon fiber. And when they're carbon fiber, they need a certain Newton meter to go back. So
now we're pulling out the big terms. Look at Mr. Smarty Pants over here, the Newton meter.
I'm only saying that because I'm looking at my handlebars, looking at the word Newton meter. So, but I choose to use the Park Tool TW 5.2, and this helps me reapply the bicycle together once I get there. And then, like, the handlebars are, it says right here on top of most bikes have it, 5.2 Newton meters once we get back to the great state of Georgia. So
that is a good thing. I know I have a tool that I carry, like similar to your Park Tool that I carry with me. So if I have to, tighten anything up on the actual carbon frame, I'm not going to over tighten it, create stress fractures, things of that nature. Now, I will say also, you are specifically pointing out certain brands of tools and boxes and things that you utilize. And we are not paid by any company, anything like that. Merely what we're telling you is what we use, our personal, feelings of what we think is the best. we're certainly not endorsing any particular products or anything like that. And I will also say we are also not bicycle mechanics either. So, please keep that in mind as well.
Now, if you are, I will agree with everything that you said, and I appreciate you saying that. But if you're willing to pay, my name is Adam, and I live in.
He
Okay.
does take American Express and Visa. Yeah.
Yes, I do. So currently, I'm using a bike stand, so I'm going to leave the seat post for very last, just because of convenience here. But the next piece is extremely important. If you could see my bicycle right now, you would see a frame with the chain kind of hanging down since the wheels are off. The handlebar is currently loose with the cables holding the handlebar kind of in place. I'm going to turn it to get it inside the box. But now the most important thing that you need to do is release and loosen the derailleur. The derailleur just cannot stay on the bicycle when you fly. The reason why is your bicycle is not going to be the only thing in the belly of that airplane. They're going to be putting other pieces of luggage. They're going to, who knows where they're going to put that thing down there in the belly of the plane. And so you don't want pressure to apply on the derailleur. So we do have to take it off. Now, one of the things that, Michael, you and I do is we actually travel with an extra derailleur hanger.
Yes, because it's one of those pieces that it's not very large. It's very important. And if for some reason it does get bent, broken, whatever, it is a piece that is relatively difficult to find in a lot of places. So they're not very expensive. It's best just to have an extra one just in case and save yourself any headache. Again, similar to the air canisters, you may never need it, but it's a relatively small price to pay for having the insurance.
And just like that, my derailleur is off. So I just have it hanging here because I know that I'm going to wrap it in bubble wrap. I take the entire derailleur with the chain and I wrap it in bubble wrap. And then I take the frame of the bicycle, which I will now go ahead and do that. I'm going to move my microphone a little bit here. And so I can actually talk into the microphone. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I have to take my pedals off. You can't put the bike into the box with the pedals on. And so depending on what kind of pedal you have, mine take an Allen wrench to come off. So let me go ahead and take those off now. Okay, there is one pedal off. Now the best thing to do is, you don't do this every day, just imagine what the pedal looks like so you know when you get to there, because you don't want to cross-thread them when you get to your destination. So I have currently the right pedal off. Take that over to my Ziploc bag.
Yes.
Let me take over the left pedal, because pedaling across Georgia without a pedal is not going to be pleasurable.
One thing I do always include in my bag when I go to re-put these together, I generally take like a prescription pill bottle and I have grease in there, so that when I put those pedals back on, I can apply some grease back on them. Makes them a little easier to go on and a little easier to come off.
If you could picture my bicycle right now, it's in the stand with a bike seat, pedals off, handlebar kind of hanging, kind of looks kind of sad, but we're going to make it look better once we get to Augusta. So you won't let me take my golf clubs, so I'll have to take my bicycle.
I'm not stopping you from taking your golf clubs. I'm just not carrying them as you ride.
If anyone could see my bicycle now, the seat is off. I'm holding essentially what is the frame, the derailleur is loose, and the handlebar is loose. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the frame inside of the box, and I'm going to take the handlebar and I'm going to manipulate the handlebar in a manner that goes underneath the frame. And also, let me turn this for you, sir. For everybody else who's never done a podcast, we actually do this on Zoom. So the handlebars are manipulated in a way that they're around the frame and inside of the dense foam, and the stem is turned, and the fork is turned. So picture the fork pointing straight up at the ceiling. The stem is turned 90 degrees, and then I have the derailleur kind of sitting on the foam, and the frame is here. We mentioned that we did research. When we did the research, we found that pool noodles can be your best friend. So I have pre-cut pool noodles to match my frame sizes, and anyone could do this. I mean, don't get me wrong. And so it's just additional protection of the bicycle while flying to make sure that when we get there, it's in one piece.
So you're just adding the pool noodles. You just take them, cut them to size, and then cut lengthwise down them to make a slot in them. And then you just basically slide them over all of your, bars of your bicycle, the fork, all those type of things, just to add extra protection.
That's what I'm doing right now. That's correct. Yep.
Again, not something you probably need, but I know I do it on mine, and it just gives me a little bit of added protection. Because one other thing I will tell you, 9 times out of 10, when you fly with a bike box, once you pick up the bike box at the oversized luggage bin, you will typically find the little government tag on it that it has been searched.
Oh, yes.
Because the government always finds it interesting, and I can understand why. What exactly do they have in there? And what are they flying around with? So mine has, the times that I've used it, I've always gotten the tag saying, we've searched your bag for security purposes. And so I always worry that when they open it up, stuff might get shifted around a little. That way, it's just going to protect it that much more.
So just to give everybody an idea, the bike is laying inside the case. My local dollar store had green and orange pool noodles, so now it looks like it's a spaghetti incident with green and orange pool noodles. I'm now going to take bubble wrap, and I'm going to wrap my derailleur with bubble wrap. And so, doing that right now.
Hey, Adam, I need a Coke.
Sounds good. We'll be back after a quick break.
I managed to find beautiful blue pool noodles that almost match the Bianchi paint color, so mine kind of all match.
Well, that's because you are fancy. And I appreciate that, sir.
I can't get first class, but doggone it, my pool noodles will match my bicycle.
All right. Okay, so now I have got my derailleur and chain. Giving it one last layer here. My derailleur and chain has now been completely wrapped. And so the Tully case that we mentioned comes with, I believe they call this webbing. You worked at REI. They call this webbing material?
Yes.
Okay. So what Tully does is they actually give you webbing material, and there are 4 points on the case that will help me smash everything down, and then it'll cinch down into the foam, dense foam, so the handlebars won't move, and everything will sit just like it is. And believe it or not, from there, you take another piece of foam that is included by Tully, you put it on top, and then you put the case together, and then it has 6, for lack of better words, facets. And once you facet those together, you cinch it all down. And you basically use your body weight to push down onto the case, and then you keep adjusting those straps until you get it nice and tight. And as Michael mentioned, they have wheels, and that's it. I mean, at this time, to be 100% honest, what I'm going to do is all the pieces that I have Ziploc bagged, I'm going to put that into different crevices of the box, in essence of time and everything. That's probably going to take me like 5-10 minutes. I'm going to wrap my aero bars and bubble wrap and put that into the box. And some people enjoy packing their shoes in the box if you have space.
Mm-hmm.
Some people put their helmet.
I do.
But the most important thing is here we are. We're in my garage. I'm in Michigan. I need my tools when I get to Georgia. Otherwise, I'm now. If you bring yours, I'm okay. But you mentioned that your bike doesn't have the same sizes as mine,
Right?
And so, what I do is I'm going to take all the tools that I need, and then I bubble wrap them and I tape them to the bottom of the box. I use Gorilla Tape, another brand that doesn't pay us, but if they want to, my name is Adam. And so I put my Gorilla Tape with my tools. So once I get to my location, I definitely have that. Most importantly, you also want to wrap your seat post.
Yep.
and your seat, your saddle. I mean, saddles aren't cheap. And so then you can find a spot in the box. All that goes together. The box cinches together. And it is airline ready. Now, depending on your status of whatever airline you use, Michael and I both have statuses with Delta where we won't pay for flying with the bike. We're lucky. That's one of the perks of doing these trips. Some airlines charge oversized bag. I can't really speak on a lot of airlines because honestly, I fly Delta all the time. So, are you familiar with any other airlines? And
I'm not. Like, again, I'm a Delta guy. Always fly Delta, and so I don't know. But you can generally go on their website. They'll be able to tell you. There'll be a special section for like sporting goods, musical instruments, things like that, and they'll be able to tell you, or you can just give them a call and they can tell you what their price is. Generally, if you're in their status programs, whatever they might be, a lot of times you get bicycles and things for free. So yeah. The thing about mine is I have one almost identical to yours as far as a bike box. I'm able to also get in my helmet and my cycling shoes, of course, when I take them. Inside joke there, but that kind of stuff. So I'm able to get pretty much everything that I need for my cycling, short of my computer and my electronics, right in that box.
Yeah. So that's it. I mean, we just thought with obviously Road Adventures of Cycling Men of Leisure, we tell you how we do some of our road adventures. I mean, sure, it's convenient when I take the van, and I've retrofitted my van for bike packing, where my bike sits in the van like a garage at night, and there's lots of ways to do it. But part of the adventure is also flying, and so getting to Augusta in 3 hours is going to be a lot better than driving the 12 that we did last time. So
that you did last time.
That's true. I forget.
Mine was slightly longer, but I would say don't let packing or flying with your bike deter you from going on a ride that's further away. I know it's easy to go, well, I can't do that, or I can't do that one, because I've looked at a lot of rides in the past and I go, oh, I can't do that one. It's too far away. I don't want to drive. Don't let that be a factor, because really it seems like a lot, but once you've done it once or twice, you put it together, you take it apart, it gets to be really a relatively easy and quick type thing. Another little pro tip I will give you is I always take along a few pairs of rubber gloves. That way, when I'm taking it apart, especially after having a week of riding, there's lots of grit, oil, grease, things like that, and that type of thing. It just keeps it a lot cleaner. You don't have to worry about your hands getting all nasty and messed up. So something to also consider.
That's a great point. I mean, when I got back from spring tune-up in Georgia, first thing I had to do was wash my bike. It had Georgia's fine red clay dirt all over it. So, cool. Well, listen, I appreciate you being here with me, sir. I'm glad we were able to do this. Anything else to add?
Well, the only thing I would add is if anybody has questions or comments, you can certainly hit us up on Facebook. or our email. Always happy to, hear what others have to say. Any tips that we might not have went over that they think we should have included. Certainly, put those up, and our next episode, we're always happy to bring those up and say, hey, here's some other ideas that we didn't consider. But other than that, Bragg is going to be starting here. Well, a week from today, actually, we will be in Georgia. So it'll be nice. Cycling Men of Leisure will be there, and we'll be having a good time. The only other thing I have to say is, Adam, what is today?
Well, today is not a good day for a bike ride because my bike is on the floor in a box. But I will say that June 4th is going to be a great day for a bike ride.
Well, every day is a good day for a bike ride. You just might not be able to ride your own bike. How about that?
Well, not for a few days anyway. So, all right. Thank you. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for coming along with Adam and Michael on Road Adventures with Cycling Men of Leisure. If you have enjoyed this, please subscribe to the show on the podcast app of your choice.
Hey, we just wanted to remind you that we've got some really cool products at our jersey and our swag store.
That's right. You can visit cyclingmenofleisure.com. At the top of the page, you'll find our stores page. Click there. There's 2 QR codes. The one on the left has a J on it. That's the store for the jerseys. The one on the right is just a swag store. Has all kinds of different items. Kind of customizable. You can kind of make the swag the way you want it. If the QR codes are giving you an issue, don't worry. Underneath, there's 2 buttons that you can click on. Thank you, and have a great day.